this video, we'll be discussing how to improve the output from the Cascade Classifier, and we'll be using the Haar Cascade frontal face default XML. So we're going to pick up a low quality image, and we will be using the default parameters that we used in the previous video, and we'll see how the result can be improved by changing the parameters. We'll import the required libraries. In the previous video, I showed you how to download Haar Cascade frontal face default XML. So we'll use the same code as before and define face cascade and pass in the Haar Cascade frontal face default XML. Let me first show you the image that we'll be working with. So as you can see, this is a very low quality image with multiple posters of some movies, but it's very rich in the number of faces that can be identified from this image. Being a low quality image, the default parameters that we have used in the previous videos may not really give us the kind of output that we are looking for. So with this command, we are reading the blockbuster.jpg image and convert it into a grayscale image. So let us first try to create the faces array using the same parameters that we used before. We use a scale reduction of 1.3. Let's see what that generates. It's able to identify only 2 out of the many faces that are available in this image. So the scale factor is the parameter which specifies how much the image size is reduced at each image scale. Let's say if we use a scale factor of 1.3, it means the image will be reduced by 30%, and that's like, it's already a very low quality image. If we are reducing that further by 30%, no wonder it's identifying only 2 faces from the image. So what we're saying is the image size will be reduced only by 10% in this case. Even at that stage, it is identifying only 4 faces from this image. 5%, that kind of improves the detection slightly. Let's introduce a higher scale. That took longer, and as you can see, it immediately doubled the number of faces that it could identify now. So after a lot of trials, what I discovered was, if I try image reduction of 0.001, it's going to take a long time to run, but it gives me 18 faces. So what this faces array tells us is, number one, the length of the array tells us the number of faces is identified. 18 is a good enough number of faces to identify from this low quality image, and the values in each of these arrays is telling us the X and Y position of the start point of the face and the size, the height and the width of the face. Now remember, it has identified the faces in the grayscale image, but I can use these values to crop the image file and identify the faces from that original image. So what I can see from the height and width is that each of these pictures is on average about 30 pixels by 30 pixels. I'm going to just declare some variables. I want to resize each of the faces to 100 by 100 height and width. I'll create a contact sheet with a width of 500. What this formula will give me is, if there are 5 faces on that line, it will stretch the contact sheet to 5 faces, otherwise it will move to the next line. Just create a contact sheet with those parameters. So what this code has done is, it has created a contact sheet for me. Now I'm going to reuse the code from the previous video. What I'm doing in this code is, I'm just iterating through the faces array. I'm reading the X and Y position, the width and height from the faces from each array in the faces list, and I'm cropping the image using the x and y coordinates and the width and height. Next, I create a copy of that face crop in my thumbnail, and we resize it to 100 by 100. Then we paste the image on the contact sheet, and as we paste each picture, we advance the pointer, the CX pointer where the picture needs to be pasted to the next position. Okay, so let's run that. There you go. So these are the 18 faces that it has identified from the image. Let me display the image once again here so it's easier to compare. There you go. So that was the original image in which we asked the code to identify the faces, and here are all the faces that it has identified. Of course, it did produce some false positives as we reduced the scale factor. So, and that's another thing to play around with to make sure you can reduce the number of false positives in your final output. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you would like to get updates on the next Python tutorials, please like and subscribe this channel.